Imagine an empire so powerful that it ruled nearly the entire known world. An empire whose roads connected continents, whose armies were feared by kings, and whose laws still influence nations today. For over 1,000 years, Rome stood as the symbol of power, wealth, and ambition. But no empire lasts forever. The same civilization that conquered millions eventually collapsed under the weight of its own success. How did a small city on the banks of the Tiber River become the greatest empire in history? And more importantly, why did it fall? This is the incredible story of the Roman Empire. Welcome to Hidden Histories. Every secret has a story, and every story deserves to be told. Chapter 1. The Birth of Rome. Every great empire begins with a story. According to Roman legend, the city of Rome was founded in 753 BC by twin brothers Romulus and Remus. The legend tells of two abandoned infants who were rescued and nursed by a she-wolf before being raised by a shepherd. As adults, the brothers decided to build a new city. But a bitter disagreement over who should rule ended in tragedy. Romulus killed Remus and named the city after himself, Rome. Whether the legend is true or not, archaeologists believe that early Rome began as a collection of small villages on hills beside the Tiber River. Its location was ideal for trade, farming, and defense. Over time, these settlements united into a growing city. At first, Rome was ruled by kings, but in 509 BC, the Romans overthrew their last king and established a republica new system in which elected officials governed instead of a monarch. This political revolution would lay the foundation for one of history's greatest civilizations. Chapter 2. The Republic that changed the world. After overthrowing their last king in 509 BC, the Romans created something revolutionary for its time a republic. Instead of one ruler holding absolute power, elected officials and the Roman Senate helped govern the state. While not everyone had an equal voice, this system encouraged debate, accountability, and long-term planning. It became one of the key reasons Rome grew stronger over time. But political reforms alone did not build an empire. Rome's greatest strength was its military. Roman soldiers trained relentlessly. Discipline, organization, and engineering made the Roman legions some of the most effective fighting forces of the ancient world. They built roads, bridges, and fortified camps wherever they went, allowing armies to move quickly and maintain supply lines. One victory led to another. Rome gradually expanded across the Italian peninsula before defeating powerful rivals around the Mediterranean. One of its greatest challenges came from the ancient city of Carthage during a series of conflicts known as the Punic Wars. During these wars, the brilliant Carthaginian commander Hannibal famously crossed the Alps with war elephants, shocking the Roman Republic. Despite devastating defeats, Rome adapted, rebuilt its armies, and eventually emerged victorious. By the end of the Punic Wars, Rome had become the dominant power in the Western Mediterranean. As its territory expanded, so did its wealth, influence, and ambition. Yet success brought new challenges. Vast riches flowed into Rome, powerful generals gained enormous influence, and political rivalries became more intense. The republic that had made Rome strong was beginning to show signs of strain. Chapter 3. The Golden Age of Rome. By the 1st century BC, Rome had become the dominant power of the Mediterranean. Yet victory abroad brought fierce competition at home. Ambitious generals and politicians competed for influence, and civil wars threatened to tear the republic apart. Among these leaders, one man rose above the rest: Julius Caesar. Caesar was a brilliant military commander whose victories expanded Rome's territory and increased his popularity. In 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon with his army, an act that openly challenged the authority of the Roman Republic and sparked a civil war. Caesar emerged victorious and was later appointed dictator. He introduced reforms to improve government, reorganized the calendar, and reduced debt. But not everyone welcomed his growing power. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, a group of senators assassinated Julius Caesar, believing they were saving the republic. Instead, Rome descended into another period of conflict. Eventually, Caesar's adopted heir, Augustus, defeated his rivals and became Rome's first emperor. His reign marked the beginning of the Pax Romana, a remarkable era of peace and stability that lasted for nearly 2 centuries. During this golden age, Rome flourished. Magnificent roads connected distant provinces. Aqueducts carried fresh water into bustling cities. Amphitheaters entertained thousands of spectators. Trade routes stretched from Britain to Egypt and beyond, bringing silk, spices, glass, and precious metals into the empire. At its greatest extent, the Roman Empire governed tens of millions of people across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Roman law, engineering, architecture, and language shaped civilizations for centuries, and many of their ideas still influence the modern world today. It seemed as though Rome's power would last forever. But beneath the prosperity, cracks were beginning to appear. The empire's greatest challenge would not come from a single enemy. It would come from within. Chapter 4. The beginning of the end. For centuries, Rome appeared unstoppable. Its armies defended vast frontiers, its cities prospered, and its influence stretched across 3 continents. But behind the magnificent temples and crowded marketplaces, serious problems were growing. One of the greatest challenges was political instability. Emperors rose to power only to be overthrown, assassinated, or replaced within a few years. In some periods, the empire changed rulers so quickly that long-term leadership became nearly impossible. At the same time, the economy began to weaken. Heavy taxation placed increasing pressure on ordinary citizens. Inflation reduced the value of money, making daily life more difficult for families and merchants alike. Maintaining the empire also became incredibly expensive. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers had to be paid, equipped, and supplied across enormous frontiers. As government spending increased, financial pressure continued to grow. Rome also faced growing external threats. Various neighboring peoples, including the Goths, Vandals, and Huns, moved across Europe, sometimes seeking land, sometimes fleeing conflict, and sometimes attacking Roman territory. In response, Rome strengthened its borders and recruited more soldiers, including many from outside the empire. These measures brought temporary relief, but they also reflected how difficult it had become to defend such a vast realm. Recognizing the growing challenges, Emperor Diocletian reorganized the empire in the late 3rd century, dividing its administration into eastern and western regions to improve governance. Later, Emperor Constantine the Great founded a new eastern capital at Constantinople. While these reforms strengthened parts of the empire, they also marked a turning point. The Western Roman Empire grew increasingly vulnerable. The foundations that had supported Rome for centuries were beginning to crack. The final collapse was no longer a distant possibility. It was drawing closer with every passing decade. Chapter 5. The Fall of an Empire. By the 5th century AD, the Western Roman Empire was no longer the unstoppable force it had once been. Decades of political instability, economic struggles, and repeated invasions had weakened the empire from within and without. One by one, Roman provinces slipped from imperial control. The once mighty legions struggled to defend borders that stretched for thousands of kilometers. In 410 AD, Rome experienced a shock that many believed would never happen. The city itself was captured and looted by the Visigoths under their leader, Alaric I. For nearly 800 years, no foreign army had successfully taken the city. The news echoed across the ancient world. Although the empire continued for several decades, confidence in Rome's strength had been deeply shaken. Then, in 455 AD, Rome was again captured, this time by the Vandals. The repeated invasions revealed how vulnerable the Western Empire had become. Finally, in 476 AD, a Germanic military leader named Odoacer removed the young emperor Romulus Augustulus from power. Historians often mark this event as the end of the Western Roman Empire. Yet Rome did not disappear overnight. In the East, the Byzantine Empire continued Roman traditions, laws, and government for nearly another 1,000 years. So why did the Western Roman Empire fall? There was no single cause. Instead, it was the result of many pressures working together over centuries: political conflict, economic hardship, military challenges, and the difficulty of governing an enormous empire. Rome was not defeated in a single battle. It slowly weakened until it could no longer hold itself together. The greatest empire of the ancient world had fallen. Chapter 6. Rome's Legacy. The empire that never truly died. More than 1,500 years have passed since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Yet, in many ways, Rome never truly disappeared. Its influence can still be seen in the world around us. The principles of Roman law helped shape the legal systems of many modern nations. Republican ideas about government influenced political institutions for centuries. Roman engineers built roads, bridges, and aqueducts that inspired generations of architects and builders. The Latin language became the foundation of Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, while thousands of Latin words remain part of English and many other languages today. Across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, the ruins of Roman cities still stand as reminders of an empire that once connected millions of people. Even today, landmarks like the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and countless Roman roads continue to attract visitors from around the world. But perhaps Rome's greatest lesson is not about power. It is about responsibility. History shows us that even the strongest civilizations are not guaranteed to last forever. Prosperity can create confidence. Confidence can become complacency. And when problems are ignored for too long, even the mightiest empires can begin to weaken. Rome teaches us that greatness is not measured only by conquest, It is measured by the ideas, achievements, and values that survive long after an empire is gone. The Roman Empire rose from a small settlement on the banks of the Tiber River. It grew into one of the most influential civilizations in human history, and although its political power eventually faded, its legacy continues to shape our world every single day. The story of Rome is not simply the story of an empire. It is the story of ambition, innovation, triumph, and the timeless reminder that history has the power to guide the future. Because every civilization leaves behind a lesson. The question is, will we learn from it